Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday night. We're getting things set up here. We're making sure our chats are going and everything's working because we are coming to you live here from the DJNTV office building. Casey, I bet your office is probably nicer than mine.
I don't know. I don't have a refrigerator behind me like you do.
No, actually, this is actually Lori's desk when she very first started with the Hometown News. And she went back into the house. So I took it. And so I've got office junk there. I've got my massive vinyl collection. And I've got this really cool old package for deliveries, this thing, this aluminum tote, what have you.
So in other words, this is the neat and clean desk, and if we actually turn the camera on yours, it would be covered in stuff.
Oh, this is yes, the neat and clean, and if we'd be in the house where I've got my yes.
Got it. Okay, there you go.
So thank you guys for watching. If you're watching on Facebook Live tonight, thank you for joining us. You can click in the description. This is show one with Casey here. Pop out to the YouTube, and then you'll be into the chat with us here. And you might have to click refresh if you're hearing, but you're not seeing a picture. It might be that your browser is not loading, because I'm seeing us and we are there. Yay! Casey, let's talk conventions because of the success of Wedding MBA, and we'll talk a little bit about that in this discussion tonight.
Okay.
It comes back. People keep coming back with when are DJ conventions coming into my backyard? You know, we hear this. You've heard this. I've heard this, and we both have put events on. So I wanted to talk about that tonight, and let's start from that aspect of why do we not have DJ conventions around the U.S. and in different major cities?
Well, let's go back to the first question. Why? When are we going to? We're not. It's not going to happen. Okay. I would like to be more optimistic, but I don't see it happening because here's what it comes down to. First and foremost is somebody has to have the testicular fortitude to say, I will financially commit myself to a hotel, to a convention center to do this, okay? And let's look at it like anything today, okay? The success of any business is your unique selling position, okay? You can't just open up a hotel just because you want to, because you think there's a demand for it. You have to have a very specific target audience, okay? All of the major hotel brands now have also become niche hotels where certain hotels are ultra trendy, and they're catering to that clientele. Some of them, like the old school classic, in Chicago would be the Palmer House, in Milwaukee it would be the Pfister, in New York it would be, like a Five Seasons or what have you, or the Waldorf Astoria. And then you've got those that say, I'm not going to pay a lot for a room. Well, that's to the overall American public or international even, because you have people coming here from all over the world. Mm-hmm. So now you have to design a show that caters to what every DJ in the world wants, is going to fit into their budget, it's going to fit into their time of year, and you have to do it in a spot that they want to go and see, because even if the show isn't any good, they either don't want to drive too far, don't want to spend too much on a plane ticket, they don't want to spend too much on a hotel room. Vegas works for conventions in general because it's Vegas. So even if the show is terrible, and I'm not saying that any show is, Acme Widget business show goes to Vegas.
Yeah.
Even if the show is terrible, John and I can go, this is bad, let's go gamble. Let's go see a show. Let's go to a nightclub. Let's enjoy Vegas. Let's go shoot guns. Let's do a helicopter ride. So it's always a safe investment for people. Is Miami? Is Orlando? Is Chicago? Is, Philadelphia or New York? When you go to a major city, what a lot of people don't necessarily really think of is now we're dealing with major unions. And when we go to certain luxury cities, such as a Miami, you're not going to find a 4-star hotel for $119 a night, okay? I don't even know that you would in Fort Lauderdale, because, again, I think to a degree our industry as a whole has champagne taste on a beer budget. And, again, I'm not speaking poorly of the industry. I'm just saying historically what I've seen, and even myself, I've piled into rooms with, 2 or 3 guys, or we're piling on the floor or whatever, because we're just, especially when I was in my 20s, we'd pile 4 or 5 people into one room because we were only going to sleep there. We wanted more money for booze, and that was that. Fortunately for me, I love DJ Expos. Okay. When I went to my first show in 1990, it was a locally produced DJ show here that was put on by a guy named C. Amato, who had a DJ supply store called Sounds. And in the very first episode, or not episode, issue of Mobile Beats, there was a review of that show in the very, very first one.
The black and white one, if I'm...
Black and white, yeah. And he talked about the show that was at the Holiday Inn Itasca. And I loved it because at that point in my career, I already had one foot out the door of the company that I was working for. And I was trying to learn everything I could so I could go out on my own. Mm-hmm. And then November of 92, DJ Times was in Chicago, and I was drinking from the fire hose. I saw guys like Andy Ebon, Johnny Roz, Jeff Green, Gary Kasser, all of these guys that were married, had families, and were doing it for a living, whereas I was a glorified high school / college DJ, maybe, 21 years old at the time, wondering, can I do this for a living? When I saw the amount of people there and their beautiful brochures at the time and everything else, I'm like, okay, let's do this. And I was in, knee deep from that point forward. And I've been attending DJ shows at least once a year, at least one a year ever since.
For sure.
So
that was 1992.
92, Chicago, then LA in 93, then back to Atlantic City in 94, and it's been in Atlantic City ever since. So it's another 22 years there this year. So that's that. And I know it's interesting because I posted on my Facebook page today that the Taj this last week, the Taj officially closed. Who knows if it'll be closed forever? My gut tells me no. But what started with just a memorial to the Taj and the good times had there became a what's wrong with every DJ show known to man. And it's like anything in life. Some restaurants, you love the food, but you don't like the atmosphere. Some hotels, you like the atmosphere, but not the service. Like, you're never going to have euphoria.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is. I mean, you better than anyone knows, you've thrown some amazing shows in wonderful cities that just drew zero attendance.
Yeah.
Long before they spoke on what would now be considered a national stage. If memory serves, you had Michael Port, yes? Mm-hmm. One of your shows. Name some of the people you've had at your shows.
Oh, Michael Port was there. We had Carl Hagerman. We brought him into the industry. Brian Dodge was one of our finds. Brian Flanagan from the Ziegler Corporation was another that we had in there. Right. We've had Stevie Ray, who writes for us. He was at one of our shows, and course,
Robbie Britton had Gary Veen before anyone knew
who he was. Yeah, unless you followed his wine blog.
And the guy's the king of social media. So I mean, so it isn't from a lack of education. It's just, again, I drove up to Minnesota one year to go to one of your shows, and again, different, and maybe I was expecting it to be something else, and it wasn't good or bad. It was just different than what I was used to in Atlantic City.
For sure.
Do a huge show floor in this, and we're in a small room in the casino, so I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't like raving.
Yeah.
And again, part of it was my age. Now I can't stand the show floor and the noise in Atlantic City, and would prefer something quiet. So again, people's tastes change.
Let's take a little break here, Casey, for our sponsors, and then when we come back, let's talk a little bit about, for those who don't know, how these events get funded. Mike Bonacorso has been very animate talking about over the years that exhibitors are what make these things spin. So let's talk about that right after our little break here. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the sponsors for our DJ and TV shows here. We've got Newmark, DJ Event Planner, Top Hits USA, and Electro Voice.
Top Hits USA from RPM. Our name says it all. Get the latest hits while they're the hottest. With Top Hits USA, you'll have the track for sure. Visit tophitsusa.com or call 800-521-2537 and get a free demo.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
So those are the sponsors for our DJ and TV shows here this fall. So if you need some audio, what have you, just to give you guys a heads up, Lucky Girl Voice has actually got a discount and instant rebate on some speakers. So if you're looking for speakers, this is a great time of year to grab them. Rick's ahead of us here a little bit. Rick, we'll have to catch up with you here in just a second here. So I'm going to...
We know he's wearing a white shirt.
We do, and I'm going to mute his video so that way he can. He won't be bouncing in and such, and go from there. So before the break, I wanted to come back and talk a little bit about the funding of these things. And again, Mike Bonacorso, who was the Mobile Beat and he put together the Mobile Beat shows in Las Vegas and around the country, had mentioned that if it wouldn't be for exhibitors' dollars, these shows wouldn't exist. So for those who don't know, how do promoters make ends meet with these shows? Okay, well, I can't speak on a DJ show promoter because I'm not a DJ show promoter. I'm a bridal show promoter, and the similarities are very similar. And I've had the pleasure of having dinner with Mike Bonacorso with Mobile Beat, and I've spoken with you about the success and failures of your shows. And obviously, I was or am a board of advisor for ADJA, so I was involved with the Las Vegas DJ show. And here's what it comes down to. Hotel rooms, regardless of the cost, whether it's $39 or $139, have a 70% profit margin, whereas there's only a 30% profit margin in food and beverage, which is why most hotels would prefer to have a conference going on than do a wedding on a Saturday night, because if they can sell out 100 rooms over the course of 3 nights, you can do the math and figure it out that their profit margin is simply going to be so much higher with hotel rooms. And then you add in all the ancillary extras, such as them having breakfast there and lunch there or what have you, yep. And then the actual food and beverage from the actual event. So the hotel industry wants business. They don't want necessarily weddings or private parties there, which is why most hotels, it's all about heads and beds. Okay. Now, what it comes down to is they want a guarantee. Okay. So let's just use generic numbers. Okay. Acme Widget Hotel is willing to give you 25,000 square feet of show space at no charge, provided that you sign a contract guaranteeing them a certain number of hotel rooms at a certain price point. Okay? Some hotels will exclude the deals that their attendees will find on Expedia and Priceline, and you are limited to only the room block codes that are done. Others, they'll audit it afterwards, and it just depends on what it is. So, no matter what now, the show promoter can't hold their breath and hope
that they sell 5,000 hotel rooms at $100 profit per night for the hotel, where they get the $50,000 they want or the $100,000 they want or what have you. So what happens then is that they have to also want to make a profit, and part of that is then the show floor. Now, this is the double-edged sword. Some shows say we're educationally based and people want education and that's what they're all about. And this is I'm saying this is factual. I have no opinion of it one way or another. Las Vegas Mobile Beat is known for its education. DJ Times on the East Coast is known for having the best show floor in the DJ industry. It's just based on size and such. It's not a knock on either show, but that's what if you talk to people, they'll tell you that's the big difference. So you talk to manufacturers, they're going to tell you they can't afford to spend $20,000 or $30,000 on a beautiful booth and have swag and have staff and fly staff in from all over the country and have union people assemble their booth and pay for the power and do everything and not see at least 1,000 to 1,500 people. Mm-hmm. Okay? DJ Times has identified that their show floor is one of the major key elements to their success. So on the East Coast, John, you know it and I know it, DJs will come in, they'll get their free expo only pass, they'll drive in 2 or 3 hours, they'll walk the show floor, see what's new. There's always dealer supported booths, so if they like the new Pioneer player that they just sampled and played with, they'll buy it right then and there, put it in their minivan, spend the night in Atlantic City somewhere, and go home. Or they'll come up first thing in the morning, hang out, maybe have dinner with some friends, and then drive 2 hours home. And again, it isn't for me to say what's right or wrong.
Right.
If you were to build the ideal show, you'd obviously want the best education in a beautiful 4-star hotel, in a beautiful city that is conducive also to exhibitors with the cost of them shipping the products. So here's the other thing you guys have to realize. Most of the major manufacturers are either totally on the East Coast or totally on the West Coast. So it's not like throwing your bridal show booth into a minivan and driving it to the local convention center. They're shipping crates and crates and crates of stuff and have to have the whole thing laid out ahead of time so they know exactly what they're going to do. And then truthfully, they have to prepare for their competition as well. Mm-hmm. So every one of them is looking for what their ROI is going to be. On the East Coast, it's a little bit easier because they see their assigned dealer moving product and it's walking out the door. The West Coast seems to be a little bit more branding orientated, and it's a great thing. And I've learned a lot about things. But again, it's just like everything else. There's only so much money available too. Just because you want to now take your Monday night TV show and do it 7 nights a week, 24 hours a day, doesn't mean that Electro Voice or DJ Intelligence or DJ Event Planner or DJ this or DJ that is all of a sudden going to go, oh, sure, I'll go from spending X dollars to XXXXX dollars just because John's got a good idea. Mm-hmm. You know, and so that's it. And so then it becomes what comes first, the chicken or the egg. Do you produce the amazing show and gamble that you can get the sponsors in? Okay. Do you gamble on getting the attendees in? Because again, you could have the best show in the world, which you've had, but for whatever reason, nobody came to Dallas. Nobody wanted to go to Minnesota in November. That one should have been a given. I mean, seriously. I mean, really? That would be like going to Dubuque, Iowa.
It was beautiful. We've only had one of our events cut short because of snow. So
okay, but did I mention it's in Minnesota
in November?
Okay, I think that's why Prince died, because he was tired of Minnesota. Sorry, Mike Walter. No, but the truth of the matter is, who are you? I give Mobile Beat a ton of credit. They moved it around the country. They tried doing a family-orientated destination like Orlando, and it just didn't take. They came to Chicago 3 times. Mike and Robert came here, what was it, maybe 2001, 2002?
Yeah.
And then I think Ryan Berger came here in 2008, at 7 or 8-ish. And then the ADJA tried it about the year after. National Association of Mobile Entertainers tried. And again, I wouldn't say these were A properties, but they were trying to appeal to being cost effective for DJs,
Yep.
get people out there, and that's that. So Las Vegas, again, it's an easy gamble. There's always cost effective hotels there. And Mobile Beach Hotel was sold out this year. I had to stay across the street at New York, because every room at the DoubleTree was sold. It wasn't just that the block was sold out, the whole hotel was sold out. So there was no room in the inn.
Yeah.
This past year, Wedding MBA is held at the convention center, and so you could stay anywhere. I stayed at Hard Rock, which is my hotel of choice in Vegas. I love the vibe. I love the whole feel of it. And so every time I'm in Vegas and I have a choice, I like to stay there. But that's just my choice. You know, other people are rated at other casinos and they like the vibe of Bellagio or wherever. And it's not right or it's not wrong. That's just the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a challenge when you're in an Atlantic City or when you're in a Vegas. Some people want to stay at the host hotel. Some people don't want to. Some people have no alliance to it. This past year, again, Taj Mahal was sold out on 2 of the nights because of the Air and Water show.
Yep.
And a friend of mine who's a high roller at Borgata got us hooked up there. And the hotels, it's a night and day difference. Okay, no disrespect to the Taj or the DJ Times people, but again, the facts are the Borgata's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. So that's that. So will DJ spend $169 on a hotel room? I don't think so. My history tells me not so much.
Or they'll put 4 people in the room.
Right. Are they there just for education? I think they're there for some education. I wish that DJ Times announced their education earlier. I think it would behoove them to do it earlier because it gives people more of a reason to plan. And I think that they'd find more people. But as Mike Bonner-Corso shared with me, most attendees on the East Coast to go to Atlantic City are about a 6-hour driving distance.
Yeah.
And the sheer density of the population of the East Coast, people will drive in, they'll hang with their friends, they'll have a good time, and then they shoot out again. So DJ Time just happens to be the reason. And listen, they've got an amazing show floor. If you're into club style DJing, they've always got great acts, and great DJs from New York that have come in. DJ Scribble's a house favorite and is there year after year supporting the cause. And Scott's a great guy. The show floor is always huge and has got any possible new product on demand, so they do a great job that way. This year was a challenge because of the Taj having its union issues and such, which is always the way you want to start a convention, by having a picketer yell at you.
Yep.
So that's that. But again, beyond DJ Times' call. My prediction is that after the first of the year, the Taj will reopen under new management or a new LLC or whatever. And I think DJ Times will be back at the Taj again next year. So I will bet you 1 shiny quarter, John. 1 shiny quarter.
Well, we'll make more. We could make more. We'll go a trip to McDonald's.
No, I'd rather have the quarter.
Okay.
I'd rather have the quarter. So I'll put it in a slot machine. Maybe it'll pay off.
There we go. Got a couple of minutes. I wanted to just quickly, why do you think Wedding MBA has been so strong and they have had just incredible turnouts last years?
Well, let's go back to the first Wedding MBA, which a lot of people don't know. Wedding MBA started in Phoenix because that's where Will and his family, the Underwood family's from. And they couldn't make a go of it there. And they acknowledged it. So they picked a more resort-orientated city, and they chose Las Vegas. And even that, this year, their numbers were up. I emailed it to you, 51%. And why did they do it? In my opinion, they're evolving, okay? Last year, their show used to be on Tuesday and Wednesday. like the old Mobile Beach shows.
Yep.
Everyone would fly in on Monday, hang out on Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday was the show. They flew home on Thursday. They acknowledged that there was a lot that they could do on Mondays. And so what they did was last year was the first, not this 2015, they chose for the first time to create a industry track specific on Monday. So they had a 1 o'clock, a 2 o'clock, a 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and a 5 o'clock. So you had 5 seminars specific to DJ, photography, transportation, pretty much I'd say out of, let's say, the 20 categories in a wedding, 12 to 13 of them were covered.
Yeah, they had nice.
Wedding planning, floral decor together, but rentals. And it was their first year, and I thought they did a nice job. This year, ADJA stepped up, became a sponsor, and they got involved with it. So out of the 6, ADJ, who also has the Photo Booth Association, I believe out of the 6 seminars on Monday, 4 of them were sponsored by ADJA, and I believe all 6 were sponsored by Photo Booth Association. So you have industry people picking industry people that they believe. So on Monday, and the review I think is in the November issue of Disc Jockey News. Mike Walter spoke, Randy Bartlett spoke, Ron Ruth spoke. I was asked to speak, and is that it then? There were 2 others, obviously, and forgive me. Peter Mary, I believe, spoke as well, but I don't know if he spoke on the DJ track. Sid Vanderpool spoke on the photo booth track. Oh, Drax spoke. He spoke on both. He did kind of like a field questions, ask the expert,
that's right,
kind of a thing. So that the numbers there. There were 2 gentlemen that spoke at 1 o'clock when the thing started, and I was in a online marketing course, so I didn't sit in on that one. That was last year that they added those. This year, then, in the morning, they added an Ask the Experts panel, and they had various Ask the Expert topics.
Sure.
I was asked to speak with Andy Eban and Alan Berg on crisis management, how to deal with customers that are in crisis with your company, in crisis with their wedding, how to calm them down before, during, or after a possible mistake has been made. It was nice. I was speaking to not just disc jockeys, but I was speaking to florists and photographers and catering people. And so I was really talking on behalf of weddings. Wedding MBA is truly the business of weddings. And that's the one thing that I personally am drawn to. I really enjoyed Sunny Ganguly, the CEO of Wedding Wire, talked about technology, and not even necessarily technology geared toward business, but talked about where drones are going and certain apps are going and that. And his point for bringing up is, if America is used to this, it's only a matter of time till it trickles down into the wedding industry. Mm-hmm. People from the Knot spoke, and one of the things that I took away from the Knot, which everyone has to pay attention to, is when millennials, also known as brides today, are used to going to a website like OpenTable, and they can look at reviews, look at pictures of the food, see the restaurant's menu, and then immediately online make a reservation for 8 o'clock that night, they have become conditioned to the immediate gratification online. When they shop at Zappos and they can look at it, find it in their size, have it shipped, when Amazon Prime can get certain things to you within 2 hours, depending on where you are in the country, this is where people are at. And as a result of that, it's not that millennials are horrible people like a lot of us older non-millennials would like to say, where we're getting old and crotchety. That's just the technology they're used to. Yeah. So there's, the Knot had a statistic that it was something like 40% expected to hear back from somebody within 8 hours. Another 40% expected to hear back from people, like from an inquiry or an email, within 24 hours. And then something like 20% expected to hear back within like 8 minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say there's going to be that half hour or less time in there somewhere.
Right. And it's just the way that it is. And the reason I bring this up is these are the consumers of today, tomorrow, and what have you. You know, our youngest millennials right now are 12 years old, which means that in 17 years, they're going to be of marrying age, possibly. I don't know what the age will be in 17 years, but, you know, this is the consuming public. These are your student council director or, you know, people that are involved. These are your sorority chair people. These are, you know, people entering the workforce. These are going to be your catering sales managers someday that have the opportunity to refer you. This is who the wedding industry, and this is who the consuming public is.
For sure.
So,
Let's not get into that too much. Well, I want to do a social media and consuming of and that talk in a different show here for us. So, Casey, we got to wrap things up here. If people want to get a hold of you, have any questions or anything, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Facebook, you can find me, Keith Christopher KoKoruz. Obviously, I think it's Casey@DiscJockeyNews.com. You can get me that way, or you can find me at KeithChristopher.com, and I'm happy to help any way that I can. So, you know, I'd love to see shows in other cities. I'd just like having a third party in this country. I think that there's room for another show, but whoever chooses to do it, they have to have the right city, the right time of year, the right amount of education. They have to have the ability to get the manufacturers behind them so they have a sizable show floor, and they have to have the reach. They have to be able to reach the 100,000 mobile DJs that are in this country and have a product or a service that they can actually, you know, want to go to.
Yeah, and that's a big struggle in this industry.
It is.
Gang, we're going to wrap things up. I put the link for show 2. Otherwise, go down into the description. You can get show 2. We'll be back in about 2 minutes with Rick Brewer at that link. Casey, thanks for joining me tonight.
Thank you, John. Bye-bye.